All right, create Lightning Web Components. Let's do that. So, say you want to build a data display element. So basically just for displaying data, right? So we want to make one independent of a specific object in Salesforce. So it's not picking up data from Salesforce yet. So a good example is the product cart component in the e-bikes sample repo. Let's examine the cart component and build our own version from scratch. So you can see how it evolves into a full-fledged Lightning Web components. So basically, a component simply needs a folder, the app folder, and its files with the same name. So the files has to be the same name as the folder. App, there is app.css for styling, app.html for the structure, and app.js for the brain or the nerves. They're automatically linked by name and location. Now this is important. All Lightning Web components have a namespace that's separated from the folder name by a hyphen. For example, the markup for the Lightning Web component with the folder name app in the default namespace is C is C hyphen app or C dash app. Got that? Okay, so however, the Salesforce platform doesn't allow hyphens in the component folder or file names. So what if a component's name has more than one word, like my component? You cannot name the folder and files my dash component, but we do have a handy solution. We have to use camel case to name your component. So my component with a capital C there. That's called camel case. Camel case component folder names map to kebab case in markup. This is called kebab case with the dashes like a kebab. In markup, to reference a component with the folder name my component, use C dash my dash component. Okay. So for example, in this view source component example, I'm going to click this HTML, pop that up. As you can see here, we are calling it with c-view-source. All right, but the file name itself on here is called view source, right? View source. This is view source. This is view source. But as we are calling it on the HTML template, we do it like so: c-view-source. Okay, that's foundational. You have to get that. Okay, remember that. As we practice along, you will get that for sure. So let's do a look into the HTML file. So basically, we're just going to drive through the web components.dev. I'm going to pop this up. And please do log into your own GitHub. And then I'm going to crank up the fonts here. Boom, boom, boom. So let's copy the codes from our trailhead. Copy that. This is the HTML. Okay. So app.html. I'm going to paste our code like so. No, you can't. That's fine. I was just trying to, resize this section here. And then we copy the JS code over here and paste and save it. Boom. We have it. Right? So this is pretty basic. The HTML is basically a template with a bunch of div and name and getting the variable value, name, description, category, material, price, and the picture URL. This data is not getting from Salesforce yet. We're just getting it from the JS file, which we hard-coded. We statically define it over here, right? So if I want to change this to my bike, Jimbo's bike, or Jimbo bike, you're going to see here is going to change, right? Jimbo bike. So basically, it's just defining the parameters or the variable which you are getting, and then putting it on the HTML there. Very straightforward. So now we've got a bright, shiny bike. Now we can play with an if, false, if, true logic in the HTML. So div ID is waiting. If the ready is false, the ready variable is false, then display loading. If the ready variable or parameters is true, and display the whole data of the bike. So let's copy that, and I'm going to paste it the same way here. Boom. And the JS as well. Boom. And as we save, it's just going to let's see what's going on here. This is basically the same thing, but we have a connected callback function, which basically is waiting or doing a counter of 3 seconds, then load the bike. That's basically it. I'm going to save this. 1, 2, 3, boom. Loaded, right? That's it. So that's that. So moving on, base Lightning web components. Now, you don't want to build all your components from the ground up. So let's explore using a base Lightning web component. And of course, there are lots of components, including field types, display controllers, navigation items, and more. All of them are listed on the component reference. So where is the component reference? Let's click it, pop this up. This is the component library. So if you want to do accordion, you can see how the code works. If you want to do buttons, thumbs up, and carousel, you can play this, the card like that. And then you can have the documentation, the specification, the example, the code, right? So for this particular example, let's go back first. Let's go back again. We have a bunch of components pre-made that we can use. Lots of beautiful stuff. So you don't have to recreate everything from scratch. On this particular example, I'm going to find a badge. How do you make a badge? A badge looks like this, right? Alpha, beta, gamma. Let's crank this up. Boom, boom. So to do a badge, you basically just do Lightning badge and with the label. And that's it. If you want to do inverse, you could do a class SLDS badge inverse, right? It's like it's selected, it's like that, and this is the normal one. So basically what we're going to do is doing just that. Lightning badge, and then it's going to do a badge. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go here. No, I'm going to go here. Do the HTML, basically change these two into a Lightning badge. Let me crank this down a bit so we can see the full code. So if I save this, this turns to a badge. 1, 2, 3 seconds, still mounted, right? So if I want to do a Lightning badge for the price as well, we can do so. I'm going to change the price like that, label price, and let's do the inverse like we saw just here. class SLDS badge inverse. I'm going to copy just that and paste it here. Boom. 1, 2, 3. The price, $2,700, right? That's pretty steep for a bike. Let me put a break there. 1, 2, 3, boom. Not working as I expected. We want 2 breaks, right? 1 is not enough. 1, 2, 3, boom. There we go. That's looking better a bit. Okay, so that's basically how we construct the components. Pretty exciting. Okay, now you're getting how the whole thing come together. All right, working with JavaScript on here. Now, the JavaScript file for a Lightning Web component must include at least this code, where my component is the name you assigned your component class. So as you can see here, import Lightning element from LWC, export default class my component extends Lightning element. Now, the export statement defines a class that extends the Lightning element class. As a best practice, the name of the class usually matches the file name of the JavaScript class, but it's not a requirement. Just for things to make sense. It's not required. It will not break if you don't file the name the same, but just for common sense practice, okay? Best practice. Now, the LWC module. Lightning Web Components uses modules. Built-in modules were introduced in ECMAScript 6 to build core functionality and make it accessible to the JavaScript in your component file. The core module for Lightning Web Component is LWC. You guessed it. Now, the import statement indicates the JavaScript uses the Lightning element functionality from the LWC module. Okay, so import Lightning element from LWC. This is the import statement. And then we declare the class export default class app extends Lightning element. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the connected callback. The connected callback method is one of our lifecycle hooks. Lifecycle hooks. All right. You'll learn about more lifecycle hooks in the next section. For now, know that the method is triggered when a component is inserted in the document object model or DOM. In this case, it starts the timer for 3 seconds. All right. So, Lifecycle Hooks has these events included: created when it's added to the DOM, when it's rendered in the browser, when it's encountering errors, or when it's removed from the DOM. Let's not get too overwhelmed with all of this. You'll get the hang of it as we play around and develop furthermore about all this JavaScript terminology. Don't be overwhelmed. I know what on earth if you're not used to JavaScript. Okay, just use the logic for now. How things are connected, all right? Let's focus on that for now. Okay, so now they're going deeper, talking about decorators. Okay, so make things short, decorators has 3 examples of Lightning Web Components. Decorators include API, which means you can access the component from other component, add track which tracks changes to all the properties of an object. So don't be overwhelmed again. It's abstract for you right now because we haven't played with it yet. And add wire gives you an easy way to get and bind data from Salesforce org. This is eventually what we want to play with, right? Wire, because we want to play with Salesforce data. We want to interact and react with Salesforce data. So let's play with the API decorator for now. So we have two components, the app and the bike. So basically, on the app component, it's calling the bike. See this kebab, what do you call it? Structure. C dash bike, bike equals bike. This is calling from the bike component. So this will be displaying this. Okay, and to make the bike accessible from the app, you have to use the import API, this one, and then at API bike. This declares that this bike is accessible from outside the bike component. It's accessible from any. It becomes public. Got it? Pretty straightforward, but let's play. So we have app.html. I'm going to copy this. Go back to our playground here. I'm going to paste that. And let's copy the JS as well. Put it app.js. There. Boom. Then we want to make two more files, which is bike. Okay, bike HTML. I'm going to basically copy the bike.html from here. Boom. One more bike.js. Okay. One more plus on the src or source folder here. Bike.js. Just hit enter and it'll create the file. You paste the content and you hit the save or Command S or Control S to save everything. Boom. So it's displaying here, right? So this is the story. And this is loading from the app.html. All right. So the app.html is calling the bike component. Bike equals bike, the data, right? So the bike data comes from here. Bike, right? Name, Electra, picture. So if I rename this, bada bing, bada boom, and save, this will change to bada bing, bada boom. So this is the data for the bike, right? So bike.html basically construct these two, how it's going to be displayed over here. So because on the HTML it just says component bike, right? So you define the bike component over here, right? So if you make another P there and zone.io, I'm going to save this. There you go. Zone.io. We're not touching the app.html. It's still just getting from the bike component. So the bike component becomes accessible from other components because of this decorator at API bike, and then you have to import API from LWC. Then you have to do this statement at API bike. Make this publicly available. All right. So that's basically it. We're getting somewhere. So let's do the quiz. Which of the following is true of a template tag? The template tag contains the HTML of your component. D. I think so. What do you have to do, or what do you have to include in a component's JavaScript file? An import statement with the Lightning wrapper and an export statement with your class name, right? Or this one. An import statement with the Lightning element wrapper and an export statement that defines your class with the same name as the JavaScript file. It is recommended, so I'm going to choose that. Let's see. Whoops. So, B, right? Boom. As you can see, it is recommended, but it is not required. Where was it? Here. So it's only a best practice. The name of the class usually matches the name of the JavaScript class, but it's not a requirement, so you don't have to choose that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bada bing, bada Boom! Hit that subscribe button and explore new Trailhead grounds and learn to implement the most useful and popular apps on the Salesforce App Exchange. And do yourself a favor, like this video, and you'll be surprised on how much more you understand when watching this same video after liking it. Don't take my word. Watch this one more time after you like the video and see it for yourself. Bada bing, bada boom.